Hello everyone. So today I'm just gonna give a little bit of feedback. It's been over a month since the start of the year where I set myself book reading challenge. So my long-term goal with my reading was going to be 1,000 books, and for the year I said I'm going to do roughly 30 books, because if you give yourself a deadline for time, so I've set myself 30 books. I've set the target. I've basically made it very specific. It's going to be 30 books over a set period of time. By doing it like that, it pushes me to achieve that goal. So we've, about a month and a half almost into 2022, and I've got through 2 books at the moment, and I'm kind of quarter and a half way through another 3 or 4, which for me is very good. But anyway, and I've got some books in the background of what I'm kind of going through at the moment. Gone through each of these, like maybe halfway through this one, quarter way. But so I'm just going to talk through a list of all the books on my 30 that I'm looking for. I'll put them in the description as well. And then the ones that I've completed, basically I've finished reading Dr. Frankel's Man's Search for Meaning, or something like that. I can't remember the title exactly. The second one is Joe Calzaghe's Biography, No Ordinary Joe, which was kind of a random book that I picked up. It wasn't actually initially what I wanted to definitely read for the year, but before I basically got hold of a few biographies of boxers, and it's one of the things I want to, as a PT and someone who likes to train and be in competitive sports and things, reading biographies about athletes and things like that, I find it helpful. So Joe Calzaghe being, one of Britain's most successful boxers, it was definitely going to be a read that I'll be interested in. So I went through that very quickly, and then I'm into Mike Tyson's biography. And actually one of the initial books that got me into reading in the first place is when I picked up Muhammad Ali's book, In His Own Words. And from reading that led me into reading Malcolm X, because of his relationship with Malcolm X, and then Malcolm X being an avid reader, he discusses history and politics and things like that, and socio-economic issues, and then that led me into reading like loads of different books and genres and things like that. But anyway, I've digressed. Anyway, I'm going to go through the 30 that I'm reading at the moment. So the first one I went through was Dr. Frankel's Man's Search for Meaning. Second book, Joe Calzaghe, No Ordinary Joe. The third one is Gut by Giula Enders. This one. I'm not going to go into too much details of it. I'm literally going to break down. I'm going to do like a 5-minute video on each of these books individually once I've read through them and how they link with each other. So Joe Calzaghe's book, at the moment, I don't want to give too much about it, because how it links and how it's different from Ali's book is quite important. And if you're a trainer or if you're a PT or like I am, there'll be takeaways, and that will be a whole separate video. And from a reading perspective, how it's different from something like Tyson's book as well. So they're all very different. But anyway, let me get back to the list. Number 4 is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, a bit of fiction in there. The 5th one is Love in the Quran, which is a scholarly work done by one of the princes of Jordan. Number 6 is Supple Leopard by Kelly Starett. That's an exercise rehab kind of book. Number 7 is the Squat Bible. I've got it over there. Number 8 is Freakonomics, because it's just out of interest of economics and stuff like that. Can't really say what I'm going to gain from it, because I don't really know at the moment, to be honest. But it's a highly rated book, and it's always one that I've wanted to read, and I've got it, so I'll get through that. Number 9 is I'll Teach You to Be Rich. This one's been recommended to me so many times. It's ridiculous. And because I've always see videos online where people give their opinions of, oh, this is what the book tells me, and this is the bullet notes, and you don't need to read it if you just watch this video. But what I've found is, especially after reading Dr. Frankel's book, where is that? Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, people's interpretation of this book is very different from what I interpret it as, and I'll have to do a video on that in the future. But it just shows that 2 people can read the same thing and see it in slightly different ways. and also certain people will give their breakdown of how they felt about a book based on their own perspective. So they'll be saying, I mean, basically, someone's own personal philosophies can literally project in any kind of review or way that they discuss a book. So I do recommend this book. It's a very good book. And I actually don't recommend listening to other people's reviews and things like that. But if you're going to be really lazy, when I do make a video, you can watch it eventually, and because I'll have it done. But yeah, that was a good book. I've lost like my track of thought. But anyway, okay, so I'll Teach You to Be Rich. That was Ramit Sethi's book. Then I'm going to do The Handmaid's Tale, because that's been recently made into a series, I think, on Amazon, and kind of a feminist kind of bit of literature, and it would be interesting to see the take on that. I thought another book is called Gang of One, which is about a guy who used to work for Enron. Then he basically got done for fraud or something like that, got extradited to the US, and it's basically his time in prison and stuff like that. So I recently watched a movie on Netflix called Shot Caller, and there was kind of I kind of felt this, I've watched a lot of crime films in the past, the classics, prison movies like, what's that one, The Blood In, Blood Out, and, Shawshank Redemption, classic, and now we've got this one that I want to get through, Gang of One, so it's something that I'd like to talk about as well. The 99 Names of Allah, which is more of a theological book, but we'll get to that. It's like more religious and spiritual stuff. Islamic Creed, which is, so these are like quite religious ones, because I've got a whole list of these. 5 Pillars of Islam, No God But One God by Reza Aslan, Edward Said, Covering Islam. It's like more kind of a media, how he sees Islam being portrayed, and this is way before 9/11 and everything, so it'll be interesting to see how he discusses media portrayal. Obviously anyone who's into media knows Frankfurt School and things like that, so it'll be interesting to see like how he discusses the topic. And Edward Said himself, I believe, isn't Muslim. I believe he's from a Christian background, but he lives in I think I've been told he's from Palestine, but I'll probably find out something totally different when I pick up the book and start reading it. Anyway, number 17, Writing a Business Plan. That's for the Financial Times. They've released that one, and sorry, I'm reading off my folder, that's why I keep looking down. So that's going to be an interesting one, because I do want to get around to writing up a business plan, and I'm going to do something like related to exercise and fitness, so that's why I'm going to try and get through this one. Hopefully it gives me a good plan. Being from Financial Times, I don't think I'll be disappointed, but who knows. Then we've got Your Money Matters, which is a basic discussion about finances and personal finances and things like that, which is helpful to everyone, so that should hopefully give me some benefits. What have we got here? We've got Healing, Body and Soul. It's kind of a natural homeopathic kind of vibe to health and exercise, and so that's going to be an interesting one. I'm not saying all the authors' names, because some of them I don't even know. I've just got the book somewhere lying around. Like I've got Freakonomics somewhere, and I'm going to get through that, but unless I've got it to hand, I haven't written on my folder. Some of them I know off by heart, like for example, Love, Longing, Intimacy and Content, which is by Imam Ghazali, which is a classic, like, I don't know, is that like a 14th century, maybe 13th century book? Yeah, so some of them are like classic works which I'll know, but anyway, over time, when I do the individual videos for them, you'll get the vibe, and it'll be much more in depth, and I'll give it much more emphasis into what I'm going on about. Anyway, Tyson's Undisputed Truth, that's the biography, it's autobiography, it's coming from himself, excuse me. Martin Luther King, there's a book recently that's been done on his letters, taken from the letters that he was giving, and interviews and things like that. Similar to what I would say, like Ali's, in his own words, So it's basically the correspondence that he's been given and his views and ideas during the times when he was doing the like going through university and then graduating and then going into the struggle of for black civil rights movements. So that's a good read. I'm kind of almost halfway through that at the moment. Then we've got Ghengis Khan by John Mann. Just that guy was a scary dude. You know, the Tyson of his time. Yeah, or maybe Tyson's a bit of a stronger harsh on Tyson, but Genghis Khan was a dangerous individual who the East kind of felt his impact over generations, because his kids were also, you know, travelling warriors that were, you know, taking over lands. So yeah, Genghis Khan is going to be an interesting read. Why I No Longer Talk to White People About Race. That's this book here sitting on my desk. Just, I guess it fits with the theme of, you know, Martin Luther King, civil rights movement. This is from an English perspective. Just started that, quarter of the way through. It's very interesting. Yeah, so far I'd recommend it, but I'm not going to go into any depth of it just yet. There'll be a point where I'll break down all of these. The next one, Reliance of the Traveller by a guy called Nur Hamim Keller. I'm not sure what to expect from that book. It was recommended to me. He's more of a kind of spiritual guy, so Reliance of the Traveller being, you know, with life's a journey, so that's going to be an interesting one. Got another book about the social entrepreneur. This guy who set up the Bow Centre in East London. Basically, the Bow Centre is kind of like helping the local community in East London, where people are going through rehab, physical therapy, these kind of things. They have a lot of different community projects running, and he's basically how he's set up, not a charity so much, it's like a social enterprise, and just basically his journey in doing that. So I haven't really started that one yet, but that's going to be an interesting one. Then I got Anna Politskaya, Is Journalism Worth Dying For? I think that's going to be a good read. Going to give a spoiler right now. She did actually get assassinated, they say. So as a person who's written a book like that, is what journalism worth dying for? That's kind of might be quite a strong read there. She was a investigative journalist, and she was in Russia and investigated around the Chechen troubles and things like that. And the last one I think is Che, which is Che Guevara's Motorcycle Diaries. I've had that for ages. I've just never read it, and it's been sitting there. I'm a big fan of biographies and things like that, so yeah, I'm going to get through that one. At the moment, the one that is most interest to my work and things like that is probably the Scott Bible, and he's got the Supple Leopard. Not the Supple Leopard, no. He did Rebuilding Milo as another book. So once I get through this, I'll probably add Rebuilding Milo to my list of this year's books, because that's going to relate directly to my work day to day. This one by, where it's gone, Giula Enders. Just from a general health perspective, this is a bloody good book. Just it gives you a lot of insight. It's easy to read, but like I said, I'm not going to go into too much depth of what these books are about, but just how to deal with your nutrition from a different perspective. When you start to read this, it can kind of give you like a better idea, because there's so many different nutritional ideas and factors and things like that, but this is just like how the system works basically, and it breaks it down in a funny way. Okay, so that's my 30 reading book list, and yeah, anyone who's got books that they recommend, or if anyone's got a certain book or books that they are going through themselves that they want to discuss or recommend, or any opinions on the books that I've just mentioned, you can drop them down, give us a comment, and like, subscribe, and all that business. And then yeah, slowly as I start to go through my list, I'll start putting out more bite-size reviews kind of thing. But yeah, chat soon.